Hey guys, I'm feeling fucking great right now. So I just finished 2 days of work, and I gave the deal of the millennium, which is a alternative to the Trump-Kushner peace plan, to my boss. No one's read it before. There was an early version that was posted to or published on Amazon, which has since been taken down in April 12th and 14th, April 14th of last year. Since then, I updated it with the events that happened since then, and then also, well, included media throughout the entire journey at places where you might read and say either that didn't happen, so I provide the media as evidence to show you exactly what happened, and or I guess you may also say, you might not realize the importance of what happened unless you see it. Or the words maybe, there's a difference between reading something and then seeing it as it actually is. So anyway, so she has the updated book, which is the last event was January 28th. Today's February 2nd, so that was 4 days ago, which just notes the what is it called? Peace to Prosperity plan, written by Jared Kushner and company, as well as presented on behalf of Donald Trump, which would be the false prophet and then the Antichrist, which I prove by resolving the Abrahamic religions into, I guess, the reign of the Abrahamic God, the God of Abraham. He reveals himself he reveals himself as the Antichrist reveals himself, and I reveal myself all in one shot. It's genius. And when you see it, you will see Donald Trump reveal himself as the prophesied Dajjal from Islam, as well as the first beast from Christianity in the book of Revelation, chapter 13. So this woman who I work for, she's my boss at work, she just finished chapter 1 and has no clue what direction the story is going to go. And she said that she's intrigued, and she said it with a smile, and that means that, and I told her, I was like, didn't even comment about it. I'm like, just enjoy it or savor it. I think I said something like that. So she's going to continue reading it. And the direction that the book will go will take her and drop that. So anyway, so I've got that working, which sort of puts it puts a clock on when the first human being actually reads this. And a couple of interesting things happened. First, she got sick. She was sick today. She said she was sick all day yesterday, but then the day before, she is when I sent the book to her. So I think she read it the first chapter that night, and then the next day she woke up and she wasn't feeling so well. Maybe she stayed up too late or whatever. My guess is that she's going to remember that she got sick at the beginning of her reading the book. And when I talk about illness within the book, she may understand or may have an example or a data point as to why she got sick. Maybe, that will, I don't know, take her in a direction. But my point is, when a human being reads this book, because we're dealing with an active God of Abraham, her cells in her body and her actions in the world and her thoughts, all three of those are not, how do I say this, are screened, monitored, responded to in cases via illness or happiness, sadness, whatever, by the active God of Abraham. Just like that earphone fell out, that was planned. Saying hi. I'm not God. I'm just announcing this and telling you that there's a book out there that puts that into perspective. And because he gets all the credit for this, it's kind of, interesting to say it like that, but he gets the credit. And I pointed him, then all the stuff that happens isn't me, it's him. It's great. And in the book, I admit what I've done wrong. I give him credit for all of the events that occur. He's the director. I'm like the first and second unit in the field. First unit's going through things like I did today, hearing that she was intrigued by the book or whatever. The second unit is when I think about what happened today later, and I get to record my journey. I have recorded my journey thus far, so I capture my first unit on screen, this conversation, and then later I can watch this and say, oh, and when I upload it to the internet, it keeps track of the dates and all that. But I discussed that in the book too. Anyway, something else that happened that was interesting involving the sort of road to heaven. And I have a game plan as an alternative, already in the book, as an alternative to the Trump-Kushner peace plan. However, to condense it before I have a link to the Trump-Kushner peace plan, 181 pages of Earth. And by Earth, I mean our system that we've created on this Earth, the geopolitical, socioeconomic, all that stuff, the multiple religions, the multiple possible gods. Is there a God? Isn't there a God? That's all Earth. That's what we've been dealing with since, recorded history or beginning of the Bible from fucking Torah. Well, now that this book is in play, this book is heaven on a scroll, digitally with a bunch of links. It's like, come with the clouds, you see me as I am. I approach the Ancient of Days, that's the God of Abraham, purged of what I've done wrong, admitted it. He doesn't remember what I've done wrong. He's omniscient. He knows exactly what I've done wrong, but he's not going to have a memory for it. He's like, disregard. Anyone can do this. He gets credit. And as an alternative to the Trump-Kushner plan, which has, of 181 pages, 1 page of theology, broad strokes on the holy sites for Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, commits to having those sacred holy sites maintained, forever. But when you have the God of Abraham step in, the king of the fucking jungle, how do I say this? You don't need, or there are no longer Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They all roll into one, but you need two messiahs. Not the false prophet and the Antichrist. You already get to see what they've done with Earth, the earthly system. You get to see an active God. He's going to show you his face if you give him a story, admitting everything you've done wrong, etc. It's all described in the book called The Deal of the Millennium, to be stacked up against the deal of the century with, from Donald Trump and Jared Kushner. And, it's going to be great. And anyway, so there's no need to have those three when you resolve it into one God who's director, who is already arranged for everyone's story to lead them to heaven with two messiahs representing Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, with the olive branch toward Hinduism, looking for its messiah whenever he shows up. He'll be on a white horse with a flaming sword. He's going to be the guy explaining in Hindi. I don't know what the language is. I'm brushed up. I'm not about to try to resolve a third religion or a fourth religion. I think some Hindu can step up to the plate. But we'll explain that to fellow believers. And his flaming sword is really just God of Abraham showing his face to the Hindus of the world. Now you have 70% of the world's population online. Anyway, I've already gone through sort of the mental processing of what I've just described to you. So it's on you if you would like to go through that journey. Although, enjoy that. I've already got over that hurdle. Today's the football, February 2nd. It's the Super Bowl. That's what it's called. Everyone's watching the Super Bowl right now. I'm at Chipotle drinking a water. Got my tip money. I'm kind of stoned. And thinking about the path or the road to heaven as it starts in a dark wood, a la Dante. There is a waking moment designed to bridge you into the simulation where you just say, you know what? I've seen enough evidence. I'm ready to take the plunge. I'm on vacay until July 20th, 2020. And I'm rolling with the two messiahs, with everyone that comes with those messiahs thus far in the book. Anyway, and you bridge into the simulation as darkness becomes light, which just means things start to really go well in your life. You choose something you love and have a loving trail, which is basically doing what I'm doing. You're filming things as they happen, and then you're, evaluating them afterward when, as like, how do I say this? Trying to get closer to your story, which the God of Abraham is laying out. Anyway, it's based off choosing something you love and following it with as a trail by recording it, uploading those to the internet. You see the glory of the God of Abraham as he arranges or orchestrates your environments, and you're like, whoa, that's weird. I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe Donald Trump and Jared Kushner just laid out a peace plan that now that I've seen 5 days ago, I can link to at the end of the book as you just read my story, and here's what I'm competing with. And then you get to read about all the stuff that the God of Abraham, how do I say this? The God of Abraham has a version for heaven on earth that no human knows. And when you read that Trump-Kushner peace plan, you'll realize how far we've fallen based off who created it, what it says, what it attempts to, what claims it makes, things that should happen or shouldn't happen based off a fucking decision. Well, anyway, based off a decision made by two men. Anyway, talks about their names and all this stuff. So I get to drop that. But these things get arranged by the God of Abraham on that loving trail. You see his glory. Then, you feel like total joy. I guess we already hit the joy part because you have that at the very beginning. After your waking bridge. And then there's a concept of Cecile. And Saint Cecile was the patroness of music, the patron saint of music. And she was around in the 2nd century, I believe, AD. And she was a martyr. But what I think that means is what I've thought about based off my journey, all the things that I've recorded. I think about there's a certain artist, and she is you've never heard of her, but she's based off my journey, she's your Cecile. And she leads the call to all female musicians worldwide to redirect, to follow this path. Wake bridge, twilight, from darkness to light, joy, glory of the God of Abraham, loving trail by recording things. Cecile is the patroness of music, and the first recorded music festival to Saint Cecile was in 1537 or something like that, which is exactly what we're doing by having a music festival, and the female musicians are coming first. Anyway, if you're a female musician, stay tuned for your resurrected Saint Cecile. And I believe that if this particular female musician, her first name's Kelly, by the way, she's gonna shit herself when she sees this or reads about it. Anyway, she, my guess is if she refined herself, closest thing that she could come to in terms of her perfect person from the past would be someone like Joan of Arc. When in fact, it's Saint Cecile. And because I believe that and documented it, the record of it, I would assume that the God of Abraham follows through on that. I don't know. We'll see what Kelly has to say about that. And then after that, it's Noel, which just means Christmas. And Christmas is, once you figure out, the Cecile part is just another example of a person, going through their loving trail of storyline until as they record things, and then God of Abraham, once they believe enough, boom, you get your burning bush. And then it's Christmas, it's Noel, it's your birth. You go from dead, which is part of the earthly system that your reality, you go from dead to living when you hit that Noel moment, and then you're in heaven. So that's the sort of roadmap. That's the deal of the Millennium Peace Plan, is a dark wood, waking bridge, twilight, joy, loving trail, glory, Cecile, Saint Cecile, Noel, and then heaven. I think that's a very clean way to do it. I could be wrong on the order of loving trail. It may be one or two up or down. But when you see that concept in a couple days, when it's proven by the God of Abraham, my hope is, if you're a female musician, consider spending some time on vacation, the largest music festival in the history of the human species, for the glory of the God of Abraham. And as we all convene, it gives them a lot of variables to deal with, people to record on their loving trails. We'll see what the woman has to say about the book, which I have to revise. So that's where I'm at. Hope you guys are well. Happy football Saturday or Sunday. Football Sunday. See ya. Think about these things.